As you know, tennis is a really hard sport on your feet and ankles, which is why if you're serious about improving your game, you need to make sure you put in the work, firstly to make sure that they're safe, because nothing ruins progress like being injured, but secondly, just for your performance levels, in order to be able to use proper footwork, to be able to split step on every single ball, in order to be able to use lots of little steps in and around the ball, you need to have strong and you need to have mobile ankles. And that's why I've made this video. I'm going to show you some of the things that I do to prepare my ankles, some simple things that you can do to add to your warm-up and cool down to keep you nice and safe. And we're also going to look at some more advanced stuff. I'm going to show you how to work on one of the nerves that supplies the muscles in the feet and ankles. Then we're going to go into some transition stuff, some low-level plyometric stuff that's really going to help to build up your level of strength and conditioning in your calves, in your Achilles tendon, in your feet, so then you can take it onto the court and really improve how well you can move. So if you enjoy this video, if you find it helpful, it'd be awesome if you could hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Okay, let's get on with it. First thing we're going to start off with is some joint mobility. The reason joint mobility is so important is because if any of your joints become jammed, so if joints don't move properly, the brain holds muscles tight and weak to try and protect you. So it's really important on a regular basis to make sure that things move in. So I'm going to show you a quick routine that you can do, that you can add in as part of your warm-up, that's going to make sure things are moving like they should be doing. We're going to start off with something called an outside ankle tilt. All I'm doing is rolling to the outside of my ankle. I'm not trying to hold the stretch, I'm just literally rolling to the outside of the ankle to open this joint right here. All you need to do is maybe 3 to 5 reps on each side. Just open up the ankle and then close it. Open it up and then close it. After that, I'm going to do the inside of the ankles. So the way I normally set up for it is to have my feet a little bit wider, weight on the non-working leg, and then just roll to the inside of the working leg. So the opposite of what we've just done. Now we're just trying to mobilize the inside of the ankle joint. Then I'm going to go for the same thing the other side, just 3 to 5 reps. Again, I'm not holding a stretch, I'm just mobilizing things, making sure the joint opens and then allowing it to close. Open the joint, close the joint, because every time you open and move a joint, it sends information back to your brain. Your brain makes a map of what your body can do, and it works really well for your overall movement, pain reduction, and performance. Okay, so we've opened inside and the outside of the ankle. Now we're going to open up the joints on the front of the foot. The way that you set up for this, I'm going to rest the front of my foot on the floor, and I'm just going to be bending and just pulling my foot forwards into the ground. Now obviously I'm doing this on the court, on a hard floor. The first few times you do this, I recommend that you put something soft down so you don't hurt your toes, but the aim is just to pull the foot forwards to open up the joints right here. There's 3 different versions to this. There's a neutral version, which looks like that. So my foot, my heel is in neutral. There's an outside version where you drop the heel to the outside and open up more towards the outside of the foot. And then there's an inside version that looks like this. So we're just making sure that these joints are all open and moving like they should, because when you play tennis, when you're running around on court, it really tends to jam some of these small joints up, and that can lead to a lot of problems. So again, you'll notice I'm just doing 3 to 5 reps, not holding the stretch, not doing 20 reps. We're just trying to open the joint, open up the lines of communication. Next thing I'm going to do is a ball of foot circle. So for the ball of foot circle, I'm just on the ball of the foot and I'm just circling around, trying to make sure that all of the joints in the middle of the foot and in the ball of the foot are moving. I'll show you that from the other side, or I'll show you that from the side on the other leg. So just a nice, comfortable circle, just making sure all of the joints are moving. Final movement that we're going to do is going to be an ankle circle. So I'm trying to keep my leg nice and still and just make a full circle with my ankle. So I'll do about 3 or 4 in one direction, change direction and do 3 or 4 in the other direction. Then change legs, and again just circles in each direction. Change direction. Okay, so really simple. That's the basic routine. When you know how to do it, it takes maybe 1, 2, 3 minutes at most, but it's hard to emphasize how much difference that can make in the way that your feet and ankles feel and your ability to resist injuries. The next thing I'm going to show you is a drill to work on one of your nerves. It's called the tibial nerve, which comes off the sciatic nerve, which you might have heard of. The tibial nerve supplies the hamstring, or the hamstrings. It supplies the calves, the Achilles, and some of the muscles on the bottom of the feet. So it's a really important nerve. And when it comes to nerves, they send information from the brain to the muscles. They can get stuck to stuff, so they can get stuck to different tissues, and when that happens, it reduces how efficiently they send information. That can cause pain, it can cause stiffness, it can cause tightness, but it can also cause weakness. So just making sure that the nerve isn't stuck to stuff and it's moving properly can be a really effective strategy, firstly for addressing pain when you play, but also for improving your performance. I'm going to show you the way the drill works. The setup's going to be like this. You're going to be sitting on the edge of something. My leg is going to be straight, and then I'm going to be pulling my toes up and turning them out. If I show you that head on, I'm going to pull them up, and then I'm going to evert them or turn them out. Once I'm in this position, I'm going to straighten my spine, and I'm going to lean forwards until I feel a gentle stretch. So the nerve itself runs down through the spinal cord, around the back, and it attaches to the bottom of the foot. So when I do this with my foot, it pins the nerve, and now as I lean forwards, we're placing the nerve under tension. And because it's a nerve that's under tension, I want you to do a maximum tension of 3 out of 10. So I don't want you to force it like you might want to do with a muscle. Just go nice and gently to start with. But once you're in this position, we're now going to drive the movement in 3 different ways. So the first thing I'm going to do, from here, toes up, find my tension, I'm going to rotate my leg. So I'm going to do this. And by doing this, I'm making sure that the nerve isn't stuck to anything in and around the hip. So as I take my leg out, the tension's going to go off. As I internally rotate, it's going to put the tension on, making sure that I keep my foot, my toes pulled into the right position. So I'm just going to do 3 or 4 of these. Then I'm going to drive the movement from the knee. So I'm just going to take the tension off by bending the knee, and then increase the tension again by straightening the leg. So just a small movement, again, 3, 4, 5 reps, making sure that things aren't stuck behind the knee or in the hamstring anywhere. Final thing I'm going to do is just relax the foot and then bring it back up. So relax the foot, bring it back up. And this is going to make sure that things aren't stuck in and around the ankle. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I'll show you that in real time on the other side. Toes up and out, pin the nerve. Tall spine, lean forwards until I've got a 3 out of 10 tension, and then I'm just going to do 3, 4, 5 reps of rotating my leg. Same thing, just bending my leg, and then moving the foot, relaxing it, and then putting the tension on by bringing the toes up and out again. So in real time, that's how long it takes, maybe 20, 30 seconds. Adding this nerve mobilization to the joint mobilizations we've just done is a great addition to your warm-up. If you do that before every time you play, and if you do it as part of a cool down, it is going to massively reduce your chances of getting injured. It's also really going to help over time to improve your footwork so you can play at a slightly higher level. Now that all the joints are moving properly and the nerves mobilized, I want to show you a great way to strengthen your feet and strengthen your ankles that translates into much better quality movement on court. We've already done a ball of foot circle. Now we're going to take it and we're going to add a little bit of load in. So this time I'm going to step into a bit more of a lunge, and I'm going to be going for the ball of foot circle. Obviously you can see that this time I'm wearing my shoes, but now when we do the circle, we've got more weight over it, so we're going to be using it as a strength exercise. I'm going to do 3 to 5 circles in each direction, but then we're going to start to work on different foot positions. So I'm going to keep my body pointing forwards, I'm going to keep my pelvis pointing forwards, but I'm going to turn my foot out. And then we're going to do the same thing, again, making sure I've got my weight over the leg. This is going to help to train the muscles to work with the foot in the different sort of placements that you're going to need on court. Because when you're playing, sometimes you have to get into weird and wonderful positions, so you need to make sure that your body is strong in as many different positions as possible. I'm then going to internally rotate my foot and do the same thing. Now, as I do this, this is going to make things a little bit interesting on the outside of the ankle. So it's going to put some of the ligaments under a little bit of strain. So make sure you go nice and slowly. Make sure you don't do anything that causes pain. But over time, this is really going to help to build up strength, keep you nice and safe, help to prevent ankle sprains and things like that. Okay, so I've done one position. I'm now going to go for the same thing out to the side. So foot forwards, controlled circles in each direction, and after that first set I can already feel things starting to burn a little bit, and then going to go back around trying to make as smooth the circles as I can. Then I'm going to turn my foot out again, keep my pelvis, keep my body pointing forwards, weight over the top, going for controlled circles in this position, then back around. And then, final variation, I'm going to internally rotate my leg and do the same thing, controlled circles in each direction. And by now, I'm really starting to feel it in my calves and some of the smaller muscles in my feet. And I've got one more direction to work on. So this time I'm going to do a bit of a back lunge. Front leg's going to stay straight. I'm going to be stepping into a back lunge. Now the weight is going to be over the back leg. This is a really useful variation to help you drive off and accelerate. If I show you what it looks like from the side, so front leg straight, weight over this back leg, and then again I'm going for those controlled ball of foot circles, trying to keep it as smooth as I can. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm demonstrating it quite slowly, but you can make it a lot slower than this to increase the strength, increase the endurance demands. It's also a good idea to practice it at faster speeds. The more different speeds you work at, the safer you're going to be, the more likely you're going to be able to perform at the level that you want to on court. Turning the foot out, and then I'm going to show you the foot turned out. Again, pelvis pointing forwards, body pointing forwards. Just the difference is what's going on at the foot. So now it's really starting to burn. And then going to internally rotate it. Again, trying to keep the weight over it, keeping the pelvis pointing forwards and the body pointing forwards. Change direction for the final variation. Okay, so that is the first round done on my right leg. I did out in front, weight forwards, foot pointing forwards, foot turned out, foot turned in. Same thing in the side lunge, same thing in the back lunge. Now obviously this is something you want to work on both legs, but just to keep the video a little bit shorter, I'm not going to make you sit and watch while I do the other leg. This isn't something that I would do as part of my warm-up, because it's going to place a little bit too much load. This is something that I would do as part of a separate training session to really try and strengthen the feet and ankles. And as a good idea for kind of a training program, you might want to do one side, exactly what I've just done, then go over, do the same thing on the other side, take 60 seconds rest, repeat that 3 or 4 times. That's going to be a decent amount of load. It's going to allow you to progress and improve your strength. And then over time, you can start to add more weight. So I could do it holding dumbbells, I could do it with a weighted vest, but honestly, you know, I've got quite strong calves. I play quite a lot of tennis. Just without weight, that's a lot of work going through my leg. So start out nice and sensibly, but then once you're confident and you're safe, then feel free to add it in. But it is one of the best strength exercises I know for helping to prepare players' calves, helping to prepare the Achilles and feet in a way that really transitions and allows them to move better on court. The next thing we need to look at is some low-level plyometric work, because obviously tennis is a sport that involves a lot of bounding, a lot of fast and sharp movements. So you need to make sure that your ankles are prepared and ready to do that. The way that we're going to start is with a bit of landing training. So I'm just going to be going up onto my feet, and then I'm going to try and do a controlled landing. But when you do this, we're actually going to be working on a little bit of coordination as well. So we're going to be working on something called bone rhythm. So as you land, you're going to try and make it so that your body and that your shins are at the same angle. The reason we want to do this is going to teach you to use the maximum amount of muscle most efficiently. And if you watch a player like Djokovic, when he's in his ready position, when he's waiting to return to serve, he's got this perfect shin and body angle. So you might as well practice that while we're strengthening the feet and the ankles. So I'm just going to go up, hold my balance, and then drop down, try and get the bone rhythm. And the aim is to land as quietly as you can. So I'm going up into the top position, coming down, and just trying to land as quietly as I can, keeping my body and my shins at the same angle. On that one, you notice that I lost my balance a bit at the top. That's perfectly fine. It's going to train your balance as well. So just try and make sure you're up, you're in position before you drop down. I also want you to notice that I'm not springing up and down and turning it into a jack-in-the-box kind of thing. I'm finding my balance, dropping, really working on the quality of the landing, and then repeating the rep, trying to get as much quality as you can. Obviously, you have to get in a lot of different positions when you're playing, so I've done a fairly close stance. You also want to practice this at wider stances, working on the same thing. Going out to as wide as you can, certainly at least covering the position that you'll be using for your ready position, just training your ability to land quietly, to soak up force, teaching your Achilles, teaching your calf muscles how to soak up as much force as possible. It's also a good idea to work on it with slightly different foot rotations. The more different positions you practice in, the safer you're going to be, and the more likely it's going to be that if you land in a certain position on court, you're going to be able to accelerate and use force driving at that particular angle. Okay, we've just worked on low-level plyometric and those landings with both legs. We're now going to do a single leg variation, because when you play tennis, obviously a lot of the time you're going to be lunging and landing on one leg, so you need to prepare your feet and your ankles to be able to handle that. The way that we're going to start is going up on both toes, so setting up like we did before, but now as I land, I'm just going to land on one leg at a time. Obviously this is going to be really good training for your balance as well, but just going up under control and then lowering down. And again, we're looking for that bone rhythm. So as I land, I'm trying to keep my body and my shin at the same angle, just teaching my calves, teaching my Achilles, teaching things, how to respond, how to split that force and make the muscles do an even amount of work so we can be as efficient as possible. I'm obviously going to do it on both legs, so I'll do the right leg and then I'll be working on the left leg. This is another drill where we're going to want to practice different foot orientations. So I've just done a neutral foot, now I'm going to go up. I'm going to be trying to land with my foot turned out. Notice I'm still keeping my hips pointing forwards, still keeping my body pointing forwards. We're just training the body and training the different foot position. So going up, getting the balance, and then dropping down, still trying to maintain the bone rhythm. Okay, and then naturally we want to practice with that foot internally rotated. So this one's going to feel a little bit more restricted. My range of motion isn't as good as it could be, something I work on, but you might find the same. So as you go up, again in that position, but just training your body to land and control force from as many different positions as possible. So that way, if something's going on, you end up playing in a volley, landing in a position, you've got the ability to control it, and you're much safer than you were. The next progression we're going to do is to work on a little bit more hopping and plyometric work to teach your feet and ankles how to quickly absorb force and react as fast as possible. If you haven't watched my video on how to do the ideal split step, a link should be around here somewhere. Make sure you watch that because it's going to break the split step down in more detail. So I'm just going to go into it. We should be landing in something that looks a little bit like this. Feet pointing forwards, knees caved in. Bone rhythm at the angles we've just talked about. So that's my quick version, but now we're going to practice little plyometric stuff from that position. So practice landing and then just doing little hops. So can I land and just do little hops in any direction? So from this position, can I land and immediately spring to the left, spring to the right, and the aim is to spend a minimal amount of time in contact with the ground. So I'm not trying to land, cushion, and then jump. I'm just trying to land and then spring. So same thing, can I go forwards from there? Just working on little plyometric movements. Can I go backwards? Just trying to minimize the amount of time that you spend on the ground, training your calves, training your Achilles, training your feet to respond quickly and produce force. In addition to forwards, backwards and sideways hops, we can work on rotation. So again, landing and just rotating, landing and rotating. Just teaching our body about how to react quickly, training the feet, training the ankles, training the calves to do what they need to do on court. The final progression that I want to show you is just going to be to transition into those hopping movements from different positions. And again, this is something that I break down in more detail in the split step video, but you want to do everything that we've just done, but practicing getting into that split step from different positions. So moving forwards and then hopping to the side, moving forwards, hopping back, moving forwards, hopping forwards, and then landing into the split step, rotating, working on lots of different speeds. So here I'm working slowly, but eventually you want to work up in terms of building your speed. It's not something you'll be able to do right away depending where you're starting from, but over time, as your feet, as your ankles get stronger, increasing the amount of speed that you can get and then reacting as fast as you can. And obviously that's what's going to allow you to develop the sort of strength in your feet and ankles that help you to cover more ground at the net, like you see some of the higher level players do. You also want to work on these transitions from the side, so coming in from various different positions and then just reacting. Okay, that's the final progression. Depending where you're starting from, it might take you a while to get here, but I've covered quite a lot of stuff that's really going to allow you to strengthen your body, reduce your chances of injuries, and also to improve what sort of level you can perform at. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on other videos like this. If you've got friends that play tennis, it'd be great if you could share it with them. It helps me get the information to as many people as possible. It helps me to grow my channel. Also, if you want some more drills, I've got another more advanced video that I've made. The link for that will be somewhere down in the description. I'm going to show you how to do another couple of drills for different nerves. I didn't want to cover them in this video just because I didn't want to make it too long, but there's two other really important nerves that you need to work on. And I want to show you a really cool progression that you can do with that ball of foot circle that's really going to help to take your strength to that next level. So if you would like that, then the description, check the description, the link will be down there and it'll take you over to my website and you can get that video. Okay, thanks a lot.